deepening, frank and intellectual stimulating discussion on the following points this night. Remember, there will be the phone lines open for your communication, for your thoughts, for your interaction, as we would love to get your questions. Even for those of you following live on YouTube or following on Zoom, we'd also love to know where you're listening from, whatever the channel you're listening from. We'd also love to know that. Please do well to share with us. Once we put open the phone lines to as well. And I will be handing over yet again to my senior colleague, of journalist, to talk about the phone.
Okay, thank you very much. We apologize, like you said, for this technical. Kindly help us fix the background names so that we can have a good feel. Today is today. Let me see whether Professor UTOMI is already there. Incidentally, even Mr. BWALA spoke to me a few minutes ago.
I am live, but I am at the airport. I'm just trying to, I'll be out of here in 2 minutes or 3.
Oh, that's Professor UTOMI. Welcome, yes. Prof. Thank God you for joining message.
Yes, thank God.
Good. Incidentally, Mr. BWALA too is in transit in train, and he hopes to join even if he's in. You may just indicate so that we can go on. But in the meantime, I don't know whether I want to take a decision, do the prologue first, or bring up KBC. What do I do?
KBC here with us. I think we should quickly get KBC before we want to.
Very good. Thank you very much. Well, let's bring up KBC, the Olota of our time, and paramount ruler of our land, talking about Professor Adeyemi of Alanmege, to bring up an intellectual, his usual intellectual gravitas of this topic very briefly to herald.
Thank you, Ayo. Good evening, everyone. I believe today's topic is very, very timely, and it is centered on President Bola Tinubu's economic reforms, which has to do with the removal of fuel subsidies and unifying our exchange rate, which is aimed at fixing long-term economic mismanagement, and with that, it is believed that it will help us in transitioning into a free market economy. Though these measures will definitely increase government revenue and improve foreign investors' sentiments, but it has triggered high inflation in Nigeria, which has led to high food prices. And
recording in progress.
When you look at the key aspects of the reforms, like fuel subsidy removal, foreign exchange unification, fiscal policy changes, and infrastructural development, like that of Lagos-Sokoto, and then the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, and some other reforms going on. But the reform is seen by international organizations like IMF and investors as necessary and long overdue, and which will ultimately limit, revenue waste. Well, and though when you look at it from ordinary man's angle, because the high cost of living over a decade with inflation, it hasn't gone down well. with people. And today, I believe the two speakers will be able to do justice to this topic. So let's let's go on with them and see what's going to happen. Thank you, and I will hang on at this point in time.
Thank you very much, Kabiyesi. Well, we will go over the prologue, our standard procedure. In Nigeria's socio-economic history, in 65 years of nation, this ongoing era will not be the first ever when the following economic terminologies are mentioned: economic downturn, economic financial crisis, economic instability, fiscal crisis, economic slump, recession, depression, economic adversity. You can go on and on. All the above are always bodies born mostly by the government. However, the word hardship has crept into the luxuriance in the assumption of office of the incoming President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on day 1 of May 29, 2023. And significantly, this word hardship has refused to disappear. Coming with hardship are the following: rising cost of living, widespread poverty, declining purchasing power, income squeeze, household financial stress, economic suffering among citizens, livelihood crisis, job losses, and such. Curiously, all these above are the daily burdens that ordinary Nigerians have had to bear. On the flip side, the government claims in terms of more revenue, influx of money into its coffers. There's a lot of money for government to do a lot of things. That gleeful announcement of subsidy is gone, following Tinubu's inaugural speech, which also rolled out other sweeping economic reforms, exchange rate unification, and fiscal restructuring. All these policies, many economists argue, were long overdue. Life and daily living have been hellish for the average Nigerian. For millions of Nigerians, the immediate impact has been rising inflation, shrinking purchasing power, and deepening hardship. Even though reassuring words have been coming continually from the Tinubu government, saying Nigeria has turned around the corner, the worst is over. So tonight, we are interrogating the difficult but necessary process. Are these reforms a bold pathway to economic rebound? Or are Nigerians paid too high a price for policy decisions that lack adequate conceptualization and enough cushioning? We wrap all of this under the topic Tinubu's reforms: economic game changer, a necessary evil, or endless sufferings for Nigerians. Let the conversation begin. Thank you very much. Amida, you need to find out whether our girls are comfortable.
Okay, I think on this note, we want to ask again, checking the Zoom list at the moment, if our professor is available for us, Professor Anthony. Are you available?
Yeah, I'm trying not to get some more.
Please, for every other participant on the Zoom platform, once again, I need your consent so we can get to hear from our guests, because it's the moment we can go to for the
I think he's there. I can see him.
Okay.
Professor Pat Utomi.
Professor, maybe you unmute your mic so we can hear.
What?
All right. Pending, we can still be able to get to hear from the professor. Let's see. Is Barrister available for us at this moment? Barrister Daniel, just as Dr. Aya is giving us a flow of. Now we have an understanding with the preamble as to why we're here. And the Nigerians,
They want to know what Professor Pat Utomi and as well as Barrister say about these reforms. We want to know if it's more of just statistics on paper that shows progress, or it's more or less the reality of things as it is the reality of Nigerians. And I'm sure that there are lots of questions. I can even see the phone lines buzzing at the moment. But it's important. We're not going to. We need to at least get to hear from the horse's mouth this night as to what they have to say, what their stance is, what they think is the way forward. Because we know that at this point it's gotten to a point where a lot of Nigerians are complaining. And the general election. Okay, we have Professor here with us now. Professor Pat. Good to have you join us. We'd love to hear from you this hour. Yes. Professor Pat, before we even get into the conversation proper, can you hear me clearly, Professor Pat Utomi? Just to be sure you can hear me. I'm here. Absolutely. So as I said, before we get into the conversation proper, just recently, I think sometime in March, you mentioned, just like Peter Obi mentioned, that we are facing worse conditions than Abacha era excesses. You stated that on a live TV platform, and I want to get your thoughts yet again on that statement live here, so we can all hear it and get you to echo it. Where is that coming from, and why do you think, or why do you assume, why would you say that as it stands, that Nigeria as a country faces even worse conditions, than Abacha era under the current leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Professor Pat, are you with us? Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that was... Please come again. Yes, that was free. I was trying to I was trying to just inundate Nigerians because your TV outlet and news outlet last month, that 31st of March ago, about where you stated that Nigeria as a country today, under the present leadership administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, mentioned that we are facing even worse conditions than the Abacha era. And we know how notorious the Abacha era, is, or from a lot of humans, by those who experience that era. And you're more or less corroborating what Peter Obi stated as far as that is concerned. And that drew a lot of, there's scrutiny, there's a lot of the social media went agog with what you had to say, but you're also echoing his thought. We want to get your thought. Why do you presume that we're in a worse environment? Okay. Well, I think there are many reasons why you can say that. First of all, let's start from democracy, the state of democracy. I was involved in that struggle, the Abacha struggle, and I'm around today, and I can tell you from my experience, the people are more pressing themselves than they were back then. I can tell you that there have been initiatives we have tried to start, and people have said, no, these guys don't take prisoners. I don't want to risk, I have business interests. I know how much they have been attacked, and I can tell you that the conditions today are really tragic for Nigeria, given the ideals of democracy. I'm fond of giving an example from Nigerian history. Thank God I saw plenty of it, but I've seen plenty of it. And thank God that I have also had the privilege of making myself studied, if you will, on them. And one of the things that I tell people to very frequently is the relationship between Chivichi Davis, who was a frontline action group person, and the Commandant Gazikiri, and they were friends. Very good friends, and they were on two different sides, in two different political parties. And during the campaign, vigorously, parties, and in the evenings he could drive up to Richard Davis's place, pick him up and they go and play tennis and have a beer and go back home. The state of instability in public life in Nigeria today is nothing that can be matched with. So, when I say that, I say that broadly. In terms of policy, we talked about the policies that have been enunciated and whether they are making life better or worse. To say about the Abacha, during this regime, Vision 2010 started, there was a good focus on trying to get the economic policy direction right. In Nigeria LNG, which has turned out to be the most successful government enterprise in Nigerian history. It became alive during the Abacha period. That was when the policies that allowed the NN. Corruption is so frightening that you ask why people are being taxed so much, why revenues collected from all of these so-called removal of subsidy and so on and so forth, are being squandered by. I think have a clear analysis of Nigerian economic history, leading through, my consciousness, literally at every point in time. I can go back to the self-government era from 1956. Somebody like that. Please go. And come to the periods of slight decline and back now. Now, the policies that people are hailing strikes me because these are stabilization policies that come out of the so-called wash. I can admit, because I know better now, in 1986 the Structural Adjustment Program was coming around. And I watched renowned economists, American economists for that matter, like Mr. Stiglitz, who was the vice president of the World Bank, and Council of Economists to making the point that the essence of those policies were to make countries be in a position to pay off debt that they and that the IMF was acting as essentially an undertaker and debt collector for Wall Street banks that made fundamental mistakes in the recycling of petrodollars, forcing countries like Nigeria to borrow when they didn't need to go. And the same thing is happening again. And I'm watching people who I saw it's really tragic for our country. Back in those days, after many of us supported the ideas of social adjustment and the so-called delayed gratification, you see the effect of these policies later. What did we see? We saw a destruction of our educational system from those policies. I use the J-curve as a classic example of how the growth comes later. Now, just using the same explanation to tell you that when you do these things you are doing, I have not seen any investments that will drive the growth that they are promising. Ponzi scheme, clean out, and they tell everybody, look how much money I've made, come into this thing, it's the greatest things in sport. Then the little guys lose their pants and shirts. And this is what we really. In a few years, we will be in deep trouble. They'll probably be mortgaging our people, because we are unable to service this debt. Many top corporations have left Nigeria in the last 2 years. They say, don't worry, Nigerians will take over. Dr. Gambo, they just go on and name them. So they are the not welfare free policies first came through in the 1980s, late 1980s and early 90s, and proved to be failures. I went through a rehabilitation to full experience. Coming from Hong Kong. And from that meeting, I came to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, spent some time on a study visit to Bank Negara. Bank Negara is the Central Bank of Malaysia. Then from there, I went to Indonesia. Looking at the same things. And we saw the that was created by these people between Mahathir Mohamad, who was the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and his deputy, Anwar Ibrahim, who was also the Finance Minister. You know, was portrayed as the person who would deliver Malaysia. Music magazine did a cover story on him, just as I was arriving to Jakarta in Indonesia, and I wrote a piece in the Guardian from there that was titled The End of Anwar Ibrahim. And everything that I predicted would happen in that piece, October 1, happened. Weeks or months later, years later, the World Bank and the IMF, with the news when Mahathir Mohamad's policies were became the first country to escape the Asian financial crisis. So to see policymakers in Nigeria repeat those same mistakes and not learn, as some of us learned from way back already in the 90s, the shortcomings of these policy choices, it's really for me a big shame. It shows that we don't have the learning.
Okay. I think that was quite elaborate, I must say, very elaborate by Professor Patitomi. Thank you so much for that. But honestly, if we continue in this manner, we'll probably be here till midnight. So we have to try to see how we can, cut short the thoughts as well from our analyst segment. But thank you so much for that. Good to know. Dr. Ayo, do you want to
Yes, let me thank Professor Patitomi for that very good opening. I want to ask you, Professor UTOMI, you are not somebody unknown to this government. Put this way, you are a friend of President Tinubu. I want to ask you honestly, are you with me, sir? How are you? Okay, I want to ask you, in the build-up to the election, 2023 election, the sense-of the amount of people who believed in the president, there's no doubt, the president has capacity. Everybody believes that, yes, he did so well in Lagos. He was coming to replicate the Lagos standard in Nigeria. The first question is, what I want to ask, from May 29, 2023, were you disappointed? That's the fair, because even when I was point, were you taken aback by the performance so far? The expectation was high that the president was going to transform Nigeria the way he transformed Lagos. Now, my question is this. With what you have seen, many expected that there was going to be great transformation in the first month. When it didn't come, they thought, okay, let's give him the first 100 days. When that one didn't come, they said, okay, let's give till December. And like Professor Wole Soyinka said, he said usually he doesn't give an assessment because a lot of
from below ground zero. The question is this: as it was 3 months, 6 months, 1 year in office, and up to this present time, would you say you are disappointed that that capacity has not really shown? Then is Nigeria moving forward, or we are just static? We are. Let me leave it to you.
Politics, unfortunately, always manages to affect policy and performance. In fact, my last book, I think, was titled just about that, policy, politics, and performance. I think that the politics, first of all, development involves building of elite consensus. The politics that we ran up to the elections and thing that any real leader would do is go for reconciliation, bringing people together. This is our country. Listen, having won less than 30% of the vote, even if you accept the nonsense that was called result in many places, got less than 30% of the vote goes into a triumphalist mood. It's usually not very easy for them to reverse and do the right thing well, because we don't get caught in the politics. And part of legitimacy is let Washington and Paris say we are okay. That legitimacy forgot the Nigerian people focused on external validation. And ordinary people in Nigeria, they provided some elites security to further their own nest. It has increased the gap between the haves, the powerful, and the have-nots in the country. No Nigerians have savings anymore. Who is going to invest therefore? We're looking for foreign investors on their own living. You can see the numbers. This is not a matter of politics. The numbers are clear. It's there. And this madness in the way they've acted, you would expect that with all the revenues that are flowing to your pockets, you rather than concentrate on changing the environment of business and helping that can advance business. And
With you, Professor Pat. Professor Pat, are you with us? Can you hear us? We may have lost connection with Professor Pat, but hoping we can re-establish connection with him. Professor Pat, if Professor Pat, you can hear us, please. Perhaps you want to mute your mic. Thank you so much for that. We're still trying to get in connection with Barrister Daniel BWALA. Remember, Lagos, Nigeria, whatever part of the world you're listening, shortly we will be taking your questions. If you're on Zoom, you can as well send in your questions via that portal. So we will, trade your questions.
We're not sure whether Professor Pat has finished his thought there.
Yeah, I think we lost connection with him at the time, but at the moment, I'm not sure he's with us yet, but hoping we can re-establish connection with him so we continue with the discourse this night. And remember, we're still illustrating Barrister Daniel BWALA here on the discourse, so we get his thoughts as well. Just balance the conversation. Professor Pat, are you with us now?
Yes, I am still with you.
Okay, I think we lost connection with you for a few seconds. We were unable to get you to...
I was trying to find out whether you have wrapped up your thoughts. No, I have to yield because but I'm willing to take on any other aspects you want me to take on. Okay. Because if you're going to look at the policy choices, I can give you a classic response to why the policy choices that we made have failed. Because we moved away from the Nigerian people and sought external validation. That is it. Produce their way out of poverty. And we're making choices that are increasing the gap between those who have.
Okay, Dr. Solumu, please mute your mic so we do not get the hearing the background conversation you're having. Dr. Solumu, thank you so much. You know what to do that.
Okay, I think he has wrapped up his step now. Let me ask you in specific terms, Professor Pat. The airport issue is still pushing a problem. Let me see if Mr. BWALA has got back to us. He really looked forward to this and he assured me he was going to do it inside the train if that is what will happen. Professor Pat, you are still there? Yeah, I need to talk to him because I need to call my driver. I'm standing here waiting for him to talk to I'm here. Sure, you will not be stranded there. Okay. Can I also... I think that's it. All right. In specific terms, can I go? Nothing. Can I go? Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yes, I had a little bit of what you said. You spoke about the going on triumphant spree, seeking external validation. And let me ask, some of we need to be fair to President Tinubu. Because some of the policies they have been overdue. Even in the build-up to the elections, many of you, the graduates, told us you will remove subsidy, petroleum subsidy. For example, good. Peter Obi was the man you were waiting for. What do you think he would have done differently? Because okay, just let me tell you, is this Tinubu reforms a rescue mission or a reckless gamble with the lives of Nigerians? Well, let me say to you that these are very nuanced conversations. Let's take the subsidy question. Look, I am one of those who have been against subsidy from 20 years back and still am against. Okay. I have said repeatedly, I remember when interview I gave walking on the streets of Washington. I just finished a meeting with the IMF team that came follow-up in the Wilson Center about a year. On the Article 4 Nigeria thing. And I had said some things very clearly to them, and as I was coming, some stations in Nigeria called me. And literally on the streets, I was responding to them. And I said, look, subsidies, corruption, 70%. So if you really go after removing the corruption, you've done a huge job of work. Cripple the capacity of the people to have well-being that will enable them to produce. you create a double jeopardy. Was the problem of the subsidies. And so, where is where I use subsidy? No, it's not just to use subsidy. Every country in the world has subsidy. Even the Americans have so much subsidy. We can't sell into the EU in many cases because of subsidies that they have for farmers. So, you know, but when we have the kind of single subsidies that we have for petrol, that allowed CEOs of one of the indigenous oil marketing companies several years ago, I said to him, you know, in Nigeria, when they say you have an oil marketing company, you started, what do you used to call them? Petrol. It's the keenest margin of any business usually in the world. Big players like the Asian Mobiles and co like to do the value chain for a variety of reasons. And those who are making money, those who find tend to lose money because of the cycles of that business. So many of them own retail outlets. Because the margins are so thin, but that the people who pass through to buy petrol are so many that you can take advantage of that traffic to sell other things to them. This is why Total because it is from the port that you really make the money. So, but you guys, once you start a petroleum marketing business, you say you are rich. It's because of the corruption. And he smiled and said, you are right. But they did, no, nothing. That's not what they did. Instead, they made this blanket subsidy removal thing and put people into extreme hardship, and the benefits have not come. I have seen money to spend recklessly. That's all. And if there is systematic way of channeling or whatever the revenues were that were coming into creating opportunities for people, ordinary people to create value. Couple of 1 people to ensure that people can go to their farms and culture will, you know,
okay.
Well, I mean, I have to get off to call my, you know, to call my driver because, you know, I'm just telling.
Okay, I think
You wanted me to call him before I was standing outside.
all right. I think we can give Professor Pat a few more minutes to get that sorted. And we'll obviously want him to be safe and comfortably have the rest of the conversation. So that being said, remember, ladies and Nigeria, I think this is about 3 minutes to 9. We'll be going on a break at 9 o'clock, and when we return on that flip side, we will put up on the phone lines and get your thoughts, get your questions, you know, for our analysts this night today on the Boiling Point Arena. Remember, we're looking, you know, at the reforms of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we want to know, you know, how this reform has been. We have 2 analysts that will be, you know, joining this discourse tonight on the Boiling Point Arena. Perhaps you just tuned in. You're listening to the voice of Professor Pat UTOMI. We know he's a professor of political economy, management expert, and as well as, you know, one-time presidential candidate of the ADC at the time, and as well as the SMP, you know, sometime in 2011. Hearing from Barrister Daniel BWALA, a legal practitioner, a public affairs analyst, and as well as currently the 7th Special Advisor on Media and Policy Communication to President Bola
Ahmed Tinubu. Remember that today's conversation promises to be particularly engaging. We're looking into that issue that sits at the heart of every Nigerian home, every average Nigerian, the common man, the marketplace, the boardroom, every street corner. We're looking at the theme, Tinubu's reforms, economic game changer, necessary evil, or endless suffering for Nigerians. It's not just a topic, it's a lived, reality. And today we want to know, is it, every now and then we get, the reforms are working. The reforms are working. Although when you see it on paper, it appears that, maybe it is working, but these are, we just want to know, beyond the paper, beyond the statistics, is it, what is the reality of the common man? Is it the reality of the average Nigerian? All these and more, what we're going to be, dissecting today on the conversation. I think on this note, we'll quickly go off on that break, and when we return, we'll continue with the rest of the conversation. It's the Boiling Point Arena here on Nigeria's Health-Centric radio station, Wash 94.9 FM.
Join us this April on Boiling Point Arena for a timely national conversation. Renowned political economist Pat UTOMI and presidential advisor Daniel BWALA go head-to-head on the topic Tinubu's reforms, game changer or endless suffering for Nigerians. Subsidy removal and exchange rate reforms and their impact on Nigerians. Hosts Dr. AYO AROWOJOLU on Sunday, April the 12th, 2026. Time 8 p.m. Join us live, online, via Zoom, and on our partner radio stations nationwide. Don't miss it.
Lagos, Nigeria. Remember, it's the Boiling Point Arena here on Nigeria's Health-Centric radio station, Wash 94.9 FM. I'm Anthony Dalmelda. Yes, we've been able to connect because I see your messages. I think I'm just going to take some of the messages on Zoom so we see them.
But let me just cut in there and bring you back. A lot of messages here have been seen. Where is Mr. BWALA? Where is Mr. BWALA? Give 3 minutes, you will see him. Thank you.
There is even someone who I think I found a particular message quite interesting. This was talking about how, he wants someone to perhaps balance the equation. This is, I think, from Ade Ajay. He says it's a one-way interview. It's not giving the listeners an all-round view to analyze the matter at hand. We would like to hear from someone representing the government of Tinubu, which is being invited. Are we indicting anybody here today? We're not necessarily indicting anyone, Mr. We are interrogating issues. That's right. We're trying to look into the situations as far as Tinubu's reforms is concerned. And yes, Mr. Daniel BWALA stated that he'll be with us in another 5 minutes. So, well, just as as a result of that, we will extend, the session to maybe a little, I think 15 minutes after 10, so we can hear from both sides. And we know that you have questions. We know you want, to send in your questions. You want to as well ask questions from our guest this evening. We will as well give you that floor to do so. But the numbers to connect with us, we'll put it open officially. The numbers to do so remains 0906 099 2609. Okay? 070400 7949. I see the numbers ringing already. 06 099 2609, 0704 100 7949. The text and WhatsApp number is 0915 849 4949. 0915 849. Definitely address all of your concerns tonight on the Boiling Point Arena. And as we continue to, give a few minutes to Barrister Daniel just to get settled, so we can also hear from him. He will be represented, definitely. We already know, we have read out his portfolio for those who might have missed out on that, talking about Barrister Daniel BWALA. As we get to hear from him shortly. He's a legal practitioner, a public affairs analyst, and he is currently serving as the special advisor on media and policy communication to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So you will be hearing directly from him as to some of the progress that they've been able to make as far as this administration is concerned. Dr. Ahmed.
Okay, I talk to you. Whether wants to take some calls?
Okay, if that's the case, let's try to see if we can take 7 callers this night on the Boiling Point Arena. Hello, good morning.
Radio station.
Good evening. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I'm Karen, very, very
good to have you join us today on the Boiling Point Arena. What's your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Mr. Paul. I'm calling from Era, Otawori.
Mr. Paul, what channel are you listening from? We'd love to know what platform you're listening from.
Actually, it's my first time of hearing, but I'm in Lagos. So just hear some of the interviews with Dr. UTOMI.
Amazing. Okay, Professor Atutome. Okay, thank you. So what are your questions and what are your thoughts?
As regards the reform, actually, I'm looking at it that the reforms is basically on papers and on radio stations and televisions. But actually, the reform is not making much progress because the reforms that take money out of my pocket and ask you by I don't know how you look at that reform. You have 4 years to rule, and then you are taking 3 years and nothing to show, and you are saying that the reform is making progress. So actually, I can't, the progress of the reform.
I think you made your point there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Let's quickly take another caller this evening and hear what as well you have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Hello, good evening. Connection with you. Do all to make it back. Remember, you can also connect via the text and WhatsApp. That's 0915-849-4949. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Good evening. What's your name?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Kade. I'm calling from Abeokuta.
Dr. Kade from Abeokuta. Good to have you calling, Dr. Kade. What platform are you connecting with us?
I have connected hooked up with 94.9 frequency.
All right. Amazing, Dr. Kade. All right, let's quickly get your questions or thoughts.
I want to thank you for this discourse. It's a good subject matter indeed. Let me say hi to our own Professor UTOMI. He has really done a little bit before he was talking about his drama. Let me say this, some Nigerians have experienced or expressed discontent. Discontent, let me put it that way, with Tinubu's administration, especially on his policies. If you look at the reforms, it's just to bring the best out of the people, but yet it's not bringing the best out of me. Don't never say of others, but look at what is happening in Nigeria now. The kind of inflation we are experiencing, when he told us that it's going to reduce purchasing power. How will a leader be saying that he is going to reduce purchasing power of the people? It means that he wants to create that inflation himself, by himself, and then introduce hardship more to the people. That's the reason for the challenges that people have been facing all over the length and breadth of Nigeria now. There is no aim that is settled now. There's no stability anywhere. Let me tell you, you go and ask even a little kid in the primary school, he will tell you, this Tinubu is giving us a ship through our father. We could not be able to even eat good meal any longer in our homes. So what does that mean? So this to me, it means a kind of a reckless attitude of policies I'm seeing.
Thank you.
You see,
the policy, not the... Okay, all right, thank you.
I think the policies is so bad, the policy is not making anything good for people at all. So what I'm saying is that it is an endless suffering for the people, for the masses. It's not giving us any hope at all. It is hopelessness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kade. I appreciate your contribution there. We have more calls, but there's also a message directed to Dr. AYO AROWOJOLU on the Zoom platform. We'll check that out shortly. Hello, good evening to you.
Good evening. This is Mr.
Saz. Welcome, Mr. Saz. Briefly, let's get to hear your thoughts.
Okay. My greetings to Prof. Pakistan. I once met in I want to indicate that I am back. I've been able to find my car and so I'm back.
And the driver, welcome back.
Welcome back, Professor. Okay, so back to you, Mr. Saz.
So my greetings to the Prof. and all that. And then, let me point out, you see, this government, the Mr. President, let me just reluctantly to use that word, but let me use that word. Mr. President, I'm not supposed to use it. He told us that God will snatch it and run with it. And that is what is happening in this country now. People talking about turning the Nigeria is doing something one party state. No, it's not one party state. It's one man decided intention government. One man design. Now, tell me who can resist him wanting to go to 3 or 4 years or make himself like Cameroon president. He has a hidden agenda. Told us that he's going to Ekewale. He's going to bring us down. What is it? Is it not stagnating common man now? People are committing suicide here, but maybe it's a sacrifice. No, look at security here and there. No, I don't know. I am an Igbo man. Look at what he has used Okemonome to install for us. Somebody who cannot pronounce figure. It's not me quoting it.
Thank you so much, Mr.
People should be verified. People should be profiled. I mean, enough is enough. People like Patutomi have played the role to make sure good government state and people are keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saz. I appreciate your contribution.
What's his name now? That's in
we can hear you, Mr. Saz.
I was in India. We were all detained in Ikoyi. What's his name now? That they're not talking to. I'm disappointed in this politics of just give me money, I will say anything Nigeria can turn upside down, but it will not succeed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saz.
We like to let you know that this phone interaction came to rather early as an intervention, and I think it's right for us to go back. Somebody is indicating to speak via Zoom after we take that, we get back to the conversation with our guests, and we also have more room for telephone and other interactions. Thank you very much. Can you unmute Professor Olubere? Okay. Good evening. How are you today?
Thank you. So this is what I think is really happening in Nigeria about President Tinubu's policies. Let us agree that as the president is well-intentioned policy and then removing the food subsidy. Naturally, that is only half of the job that he has done. The other half and that is the fact that after you do all that, the savings of the subsidy that was removed, and how do you then defend the currency that was floated? And this administration has not been able to do anything with the opportunity of the savings. And that is where we are stuck. So in terms of policy, it's only 50% of what the savings are there. It's not of money. But how do you then spend the money? Nigerians are not feeling the impact of that savings. Good policy by removing subsidy, then what do they do after that? A lot of people, so this is 3 years into the administration, and if there are no positive signals. Okay. Thanks. So I think that is the way I say it.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to Professor Patrick Tony. Now that the driver has been found and the car is back. Prof, thank God for that. You had a lot of these contributions and questions. Let's have you speak to these issues.
Well, you know, it's really a combination of things. One is strategy. I think has been a fundamental. I'll give you an example, a really, really prime example. If in strategy you want to actually have this big, hairy, audacious goal, you know, strategy as stretch, and you go forward and say, look, judge me by my performance, don't take care of power, don't vote for me, you're so certain that's going to be your focus. And 3 years into your administration, the power situation is worse than it was when you got there. It shows that strategy has not managed to find focus. Because there was a good enough area to focus on to say, if you look at how Vietnam dealt with that problem after the terrible war that they have to go through with. I mean, yesterday, I left Cairo yesterday. Egypt, if you look at how they've dealt with significant percentage more than their current needs at every point in time, you will see that there was a loss of focus on the key goal of the administration, dealing with power. So we have a strategic failure. Look, I've spoken to this issue of subsidy, and I said, and I will repeat it again, the biggest problem with so-called subsidy on petrol was that 70% you dramatically reduce the cost of to the purse, national purse, of importing petrol. Then we had the consent of the Dangote. We don't want to. Okay. Crude oil
naira, and you must sell relative to the value to the Nigerian people. You are not subsidizing, but you have made petrol more available to the Nigerian people. You could even target the use of public transportation because you don't want people frivolously using the resource because it's cheap. Very understandable strategy. But we didn't do that. And so we really got no gains from the pain, the suffering Nigerians have experienced. So what we need to do, strategy is wrong, got it wrong. What we also need to do is center the Nigerian people and center the use of Nigeria, the future of Nigeria. Nigeria has a but nothing in the policies that I see suggests that we're focusing on the young people and driving that focus in a way that puts jobs for the young people, jobs for the youth, and second that for.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. I see a message here. It's from Abaji. Unfortunately, BWALA has not been able to honor his promise. Exactly. I know I want to defend you. We are coming over to you. Thank you. Welcome, BWALA.
Thank you, sir.
I want to assure you, on this program, there will be no truth infection. Okay, a quick one. Yes, go on.
Well, I'm saying that I'm used, it comes with the territory. I'm used to it.
Welcome. A very quick one for you. TINUBU'S reforms, a rescue mission on reckless gambling with the lives of Nigerians. Why did we say this? We have been seeing a trend over time. We saw it in Ibadan. We saw it in Nigeria, where Nigerians have been demonstrating some angst against the president. The reason is this. Because of the silver thing, a lot of all those policies combined to one, the people have not been having it easy. Don't you think Nigerians have a right to be angry with the president since he rolled out a mantra that says renewed hope, and nobody seems to be seeing hope anywhere. That's what that's what has been the conversation since morning. But let me give you a chance. You are one of the very stout defenders of this government, and I'm sure you are fitting for the billing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to express my deepest apology to the distinguished professor. To the host, I was traveling from one part of the UK to another, and I had this delay because of a couple of things in the room. So I deeply apologize to everybody. I go ahead of time. And this is something that I prepared for because I wanted to get to talk